I'm back. My name's Kyle. I'm with Auditing with Autism, my favorite channel. Well, it's my channel. I hope you're here to watch some of it. And in this channel, I sometimes put a camera on my shoulder, walk out into the world, and film my experiences with my autism in the world to see how people will react with a guy who has autism who's mostly unmasked and to talk about their reaction afterwards, especially if their reaction is weird or unfounded. I have to admit, though, here, I don't, I'm not really a good auditor because I don't really like to film my community of people. I wouldn't want them to film me, and I don't really go around filming people. But, whenever I'm in a hazard situation or in trouble, I immediately film, or take the camera out to film, as I did in the other video that you saw, the library series, where I, was having a communication breakdown and the librarian started threatening me with trespass and violence of arrest. And so I felt threatened, and to protect myself, I pulled out my phone and started recording, which was the genesis of the idea of this channel. So, I just wanted to do a little bit of a check-in about that and why I'm not constantly putting out videos that would be auditing videos connected with autism. I think it's a good thing when I don't have any videos to submit about that topic. So, but, when I go outside of my community, then the camera's on most of the time because these are people that I don't, don't see around and wave to sometimes and stuff. So they're completely unknown, and that's when you put your dash cam on and you put your camera phone on if you have it. And as you may have learned already, I really don't go out much because well, I guess the answer is because I've had trouble when I go out and about. So anyway, I try to stay home and enjoy my life, which is great when I'm at home and around friends, or usually by myself. And I became my own best friend, and it's been working for me for quite a long time. So for what it's worth, you may not see a ton of auditing videos, but when they show up, they're going to be, and they will be good because, it'll be something that happened for real. Speaking of something that happened for real, I want to talk a little bit about a meltdown that I had over Easter weekend. Yep. It finally happened. It took years, but it happened, and I want to explain what led to it, what happened when it happened, and then how I acted afterwards. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about a topic that, I started bringing up this topic during the Funny Bunny Easter philosophy series, where I was sort of talking about the importance of having an internal relationship, with the higher power. And it's been interesting to see how people have reacted to that. I have a lot of friends that are atheists, and these people don't believe in God. So I will, as I mentioned in the other videos, I will sometimes try to correlate the idea that God or the universe could be seen as similar or one or the same. That doesn't always work for some atheists, because they choose to not believe that God created the universe, and therefore the universe is still an unknown, the origin of the universe for these people. And that's pretty legitimate. I can't say I have definitive proof that God made the universe. There are certainly proofs that explain why people should believe in the universe being made by God. For example, A classic example is how everything in the universe, especially centered around life, but everything in the universe comes from something else. And these are pretty classical physics type of Newtonian type of physics where, it's a cause and effect relationship. In the universe, everything comes from something else. And in philosophy classes, they would use the example of an oak seed, an acorn. They would say, take an acorn, put it in your hand and look at it, and realize that if you planted that acorn, that it could grow into the mighty oak tree that is 200 feet tall and 10 feet in diameter and, much larger and bigger than this acorn. And so somewhere inside the acorn is the potential for that oak tree. And therefore we know that, the oak tree comes from the acorn, and the acorn came from the oak tree. And, you just keep going back and regressing, and it's sort of relativistic, but it works. You keep going back to the origin of the universe, and there it starts with a Big Bang. Physicists are saying that the Big Bang could have happened without God. And I don't have any reason to dispute that. I think it's possible the Big Bang could have happened without God making that happen. But it doesn't take away the idea that God would have started the universe to make the Big Bang itself. So, how would I got to explain, how would the Big Bang happen, the beginning of the universe, right, the Big Bang? How would that have happened without God playing a role? Even if I believed, or some friends of mine say, I don't believe that God made the universe to create the Big Bang, even if you don't believe that God made the universe to start this Big Bang, how would I explain the Big Bang? And I want to explain that a little bit. Really quickly, it would be the idea of a torus, the geometrical shape of a torus, which is the same shape as a donut or a bagel. And so the idea here is that you would have the universe, as we know certainly that the universe is expanding, and as it expands, the stars are moving farther apart, and so with this idea, for example, if we could go back to the beginning of when the Earth was created, maybe 4 billion years ago, if we could stand on that Earth 4 billion years ago and look into the night sky at the stars, 4 billion years ago, the stars would have been much more plentiful. They would be almost nothing but stars and starlight in the sky to look at. Because, you see, 4 billion years ago, the universe was much tighter and closer together, allowing our eyeballs to literally see 10 times, maybe more than that, more starlight, more stars. Well, if you go 40 billion years into the future, let's say, put on our thinking hats and imagine going, 2 times longer than the universe has been alive, if you want to put it that way, been around. The universe, they say, is 14 billion years. So let's go 30 or 40 billion years into the future and stand on the planet, if it's still there, which it won't be. But if you could, and look into the night sky, you would see that there's hardly any stars to look at. It would almost be completely dark because the universe is expanding and the stars are getting farther apart. And that's how the universe is moving, right? Well, back to the donut. As the universe is moving and expanding, the torus idea is saying that it's going to come back into itself, come back around like a donut, and come back into the center, creating that point again, and creating that Big Bang. And so, with this idea, the universe is going to expand, then it will contract and come into the Big Bang, which will then make it expand again in a donut shape, which will then go as far out as it goes, and then it'll come back in like a donut, and into the donut hole, into the center of the donut, and contract to the point, and then boom, big bang again, and start expanding again. That's a pretty I think that's a pretty good idea. If you don't believe in that idea, then the universe looks like, if you go 40 billion years into the future, is that the universe continues to expand, and there is just less and less. It's not less stuff in space. It's all still there, but the stuff is much less closer together.